Ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to a... No audio. Alright, kind of forgot we needed audio there for a second. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome today to another edition of NASCAR Thunder 2004 on the channel. We've got the UAW GM Quality 500 at Lowe's Motor Speedway, or at least formerly known as Lowe's Motor Speedway, back in this 2003 season. We're doing a custom schedule season for those of you that forgot or haven't watched the series up to this point. If you are new, we have 7 races to go on the season. It's going to be tough for Greg Biffle to win the championship. That's who we're driving as on this season. Of course, this is his rookie season, so it was going to be kind of an uphill climb anyway. And currently sitting 11th in the standings, 762 back. Not mathematically out, but we're going to have to gain about 100 points every race on Tony Stewart. Stewart's lead has dwindled over the last 2 races. He has a 64-point lead, so not exactly comfortable. And it's over Dale Jarrett. And then also Ryan Newman, third in points, is within a race. He could mathematically take the points lead at the end of the day as well. Tony Stewart qualified on the pole. Sure enough, he was one of the fastest in practice. Sure enough, so he's probably going to go out here and compete for the win. We were actually second in both practices. First practice, it was Tony Stewart who was first, and then in happy hour, Jeff Burton was actually the fastest, but Tony Stewart hadn't made a lap yet, so Stewart's going to be one of the contenders for today's race. Darren Dill, welcome to the stream as well. So here we go here today. Got the setup. The setup feels fast. It feels stable. We'll have to see if the longer run is going to help us out. We'll take you through today's starting lineup and key analysis going into today's race.
Coming to you live from the Mecca of Motorsports, Lowe's Motor Speedway, for tonight's NASCAR Winston Cup Series race, the UAW GM Quality 500. This is an awesome facility, isn't it?
A lot of these teams are based in this area, and this is a 2,000-acre dream come true for any NASCAR fan. I don't think there's a bad seat anywhere in this place, and there's always great racing to go along with it.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. will try to use this race to close in on the points lead.
Oh yeah, and all of these guys in the top 5 are fighting hard week in and week out to gain as many points as possible. It's harder to pick up spots once you're into the top 5.
Greg Biffle won the Ray Bestos Rookie of the Year award in the NASCAR Busch Series in 2001. He started all 33 races that year and posted 5 wins. In 2002, Rusty Wallace had his streak of consecutive seasons with a victory stopped at 16.
He and Ricky Rudd tied for that longest win streak, but you know Rusty wanted to take it for himself. Now he just has to look at starting a new streak.
We'll take you through today's starting lineup, starting off with today's front row at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Points leader Tony Stewart will be on the pole once again this season. He has been great in qualifying all year, and that's led to success within the race. Bill Elliott actually qualified in second. We'll see if he can go for his first win of the year. Dale Jr. and Bobby Labonte will be in row number 2. Jr. comes in top 5 in the point standings. Couple wins on the year. Labonte with 1 win on the year. But as far as the championship goes for him, pretty much non-existent. Kevin Harvick comes in 5th in points. He's not mathematically out yet. He's still a couple hundred points back. Needs a good points day today. And as well as Greg Biffle, the most winningest driver this year, comes in 11th in points. Jimmy Johnson and Dale Jarrett will be in row number 4. Jarrett is 2nd in points, 64 back from Stewart. In row number 5, Ryan Newman and Matt Kenseth for Newman. He's 3rd in points coming into the day, 124 back from Stewart. In row number 6, Mark Martin and Sterling Marlin. Marlin still winless this year, but he's picked up the pace in the second half of the year. He's been close a couple times. Robbie Gordon, Kurt Busch will be in row number 7. Kurt Busch is the only rival of Greg Biffle's coming into today's race. In row number 8, it'll be Jerry Nadeau and Michael Waltrip. By the way, with Kurt Busch, it's kind of odd that it's his teammate that is a rival, so we'll see how that's going to go. Jeff Gordon and Kenny Wallace will be in row number 9. Gordon's picked up the slack in the second half of the year as well. He's got 2 wins now on the season. In row number 10, Jeremy Mayfield and Mike Skinner. That is one of his better qualifying efforts this season, as he'll be starting in 20th. Ricky Rudd and Johnny Benson will be in row number 11. Hermie Sadler and Ricky Craven is going to be starting in row number 12. Behind those guys in row number 13, it'll be Steve Park and Kevin LePage. Remember, LePage actually lucked into a win earlier this season due to the randomization of the finishing order after one of the races that Biffle had DNF'd in. Ken Schrader and Jack Sprague will be in row 14. Behind those guys in row number 15, we've got Jeff Green and Jamie McMurray. McMurray trying to catch Biffle in the Rookie of the Year standings, but he's starting to slip away. Jeff Green, meanwhile, 2 wins on the year, both at Daytona and the Daytona Road Course. Brett Bodine and Jeff Burton will be in row 16. Burton again, fastest in happy hour. Joe Nemechek and Kyle Petty will be in row 17. Behind those guys, in row number 18, it'll be Christian Fittipaldi and Stanton Barrett. In row number 19, it's going to be David Green and Elliott Sadler. And behind those guys, in row number 20, it'll be rookie Casey Mears and another rookie, Chase Montgomery. 2 veterans back in row number 21 of Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte, and rounding out the field behind those guys in row number 22, Ward Burton. One of his worst qualifying efforts this year. So we have really 3 veterans starting at the rear of the field. We'll have to see how they can conquer this 500-mile race. Ethan, welcome to the stream as well. Here we go in this one. Green flag in the air. We're underway at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Oh, a little contact already on the initial start. Biffle trying to get to the inside in front of Kevin Harvick. He's able to do so. And Tony Stewart easily jumps to the lead off of turn 2. No pressure there, and he's about to get 5 bonus points for leading the first lap of the race. Bill Elliott falls back a spot. Dale Jr. quickly jumps up to second. Jr. looking for the lead, but again, Stewart will lead lap 1. That's important for him. Last time we were here in the Coke 600 earlier in the season at about the halfway mark this year. It was a really fantastic race. Wasn't the best of finishes though for Biffle. Tried to wipe out Johnson late when he probably should have just stuck in there with that top 5 finish, and that obviously cost him a ton of points that day. And you look at a race coming into today, this late in the season, knowing that he has a shot to run well, obviously, with that earlier success. But he could be a lot closer in the standings if it weren't for those mistakes that were on his behalf. That's something he's got to change in these final 7 races, and at least try to get the Rookie of the Year. No, the Tiburon track is not on the schedule. I still haven't even unlocked it on this game yet either, so that is why I did not put it on the schedule, mainly because I couldn't. And unfortunately, they don't have that racetrack on the other EA Sports games, at least going to the future, 05, 06, and so on. So this is only going to be our only chance to run it. We still will have Season 2, but remember, it's going to be the normal 2003 schedule that was put in place, and not a custom schedule. But you guys will get to pick the driver with a fan vote before we start that season. Probably in about 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be starting a second and final season here. I'm waiting to start it until the beginning of January, right at the start of the new year, because we could actually space it out and do 1 race every single day, and that will lead us to the Daytona 500 by the selected date that I have, or that I will start it. So that'd be pretty cool. Stewart's still out in front. He's led the first 5 laps. Dale Jr. has been right on his back bumper the whole time. You wonder if Jr. could be maybe a little bit quicker. Again, Stewart was fastest in first practice, qualified on the pole, and he wasn't out on the track at happy hour when we were out there, so we don't know exactly how fast he was there. I'd have to imagine he was going to be pretty quick. And don't forget, Jeff Burton was fastest in happy hour, so although he's starting mid-pack here today, he could be a contender as this race carries forward as well. Biffle was second in both practice and happy hour, and in qualifying, qualified 6th. Yeah, it's ridiculous the amount of speed you can carry around that racetrack. Oh, Stewart got loose off of turn 4. That almost looked like an opportunity for Junior to make the pass, but he couldn't quite do it. Now the top 3 are nose to tail, maybe a little bit closer now. Cap 24, welcome to the stream. Yep, Lowe's Motor Speedway is Charlotte. Or at least now known as Charlotte. Biffle now to the inside of Dale Jr. for second. Jr. cannot capitalize to get around Tony Stewart. So Biffle's going to try to get around Jr., and he got around him really quickly there in 1 and 2. Didn't make a mistake either. Now he's drafting Tony Stewart down the backstretch. Stewart's not upset enough with him to door check him, but tell you what, if he does, somehow, some way, we know there could be retaliation here, and Stewart had to have learned his lesson a couple races ago at Bristol when he did that to Greg Biffle, and it took him out of the race. His points lead has pretty much evaporated on everybody else, the major points lead. He was over 200 points ahead. I think he was 250 points ahead at one point. Now only 64 points ahead of Dale Jarrett. Still 7 races to go. A couple wild card races. Our next race is tomorrow at Watkins Glen. That could be a wild card race. And we also still have one more trip at Daytona for a 400-mile event there. Martinsville as well. That could be a game changer. Biffle trying to get around Tony Stewart on the inside. Stewart might get a run down the backstretch. We'll see. I figured it was you called. And Biffle hasn't cleared him yet. Now he has at the line, and he will get 5 bonus points himself for leading that lap. First lead change of the day now. Lap number 12, Greg Biffle out in front here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. Top 5 early going. Biffle, again, just took the lead away from Tony Stewart. Stewart still in second, followed by Dale Jr. in third. Now that Stewart's led a lap, he just doesn't want him to lead the most laps. I don't think anybody does at this point. And that's going to be key for those drivers that are very close to him in the point standings, like Ryan Newman and Dale Jarrett. If they have any sort of shot to lead a lap, maybe through the cycling of green flag pit stops throughout the course of the day, that's what they're going to have to do, because they're going to have to keep pace with Tony as much as they can. They both didn't qualify that well, especially compared to Stewart qualifying on the pole, so they're already behind the 8 ball to start, on top of Stewart getting those bonus. Jimmy Johnson, right on the back bumper of Stewart as well. Maybe going to get around him for third. Jimmy Johnson is not a rival anymore. No, he is neutral. Granted, at the same time, although he's not a rival, we still have to get payback on him if I'm not mistaken. I can't... Let me know in the comment section if I actually got him back, because it's been a while since we played. It's been over a week since we played this game, so I've kind of forgotten if we need to get payback on him or not. I think the last time we played... No, last time we played this was Monday, I believe. And we wrecked out at both races, but we never saw him at all. That's why I can't remember the races prior to that if we actually got payback on him. I'm looking to keep the nose clean here, at least today, as much as we can. It's another longer race, 500 miles as mentioned. Next couple races going to be a little bit shorter. Watkins Glen and Phoenix coming up on the schedule, 400 kilometers at Watkins Glen, and then a 1.25 mile racetrack at Phoenix with the old configuration there. So that'll be roughly right around a 400-mile race. 500 kilometers. 1 second lead now. Biffle over Dale Jr. Stewart still in third. Again, Johnson hanging in there right behind Stewart in fourth. And a little bit further back in fifth place is still Bill Elliott after qualifying second. He dropped a couple spots off the start, but he's hanging on, at least in the early going today, around this fast racetrack, one of the faster mile-and-a-halfs on the schedule. I guess it depends on when we see him. If we need a caution or we could trap Stewart multiple laps down, I guess that would be the way to do it. It's the thing, though, with so many drivers close to Tony Stewart now in the point standings, Biffle's not only racing Stewart, but he's trying to race guys like Kevin Harvick, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, and Ryan Newman that are all in the top 5, all within right around 200 points of Stewart. They all have a strong chance to win the championship. Then there's a big gap from 5th to 6th. And pretty much everybody outside the top 5 in points is going to need a little bit of luck on their side to get the championship going their way. But you almost kind of consider the fact that those other 5 kind of control their own destiny with this many races still to go. Even Harvick, 214 back in 5th in points. I mean, he's, yes, over a race out, but at the same time, too, all it takes is Stewart to finish outside the top 10 once or twice, even if he finishes top 15, and Harvick just runs consistent the rest of the year, competes for wins, gets bonus points. He'll be right back in it when we go to the final race of the year at Darlington for the Southern 500. Sage Castillo, welcome to the stream. Yep, running at Charlotte today. Lowe's Motor Speedway. Back in 2003, at least, that's what it was known as. It was actually known as Lowe's Motor Speedway up until, I believe, like 2009 was the first year it went back to Charlotte as the head title of the racetrack. Lowe's bought out a sponsorship to put their name on the racetrack. Right around 10 years worth. Ashton G, welcome to the stream. Got 7 people watching in the early going of today's race. And we had about an earlier noon Eastern Standard Time start time, but it's a Saturday, so that's reasonable. We'll have the same start time for tomorrow's race at Watkins Glen here on NASCAR Thunder 2004 with a noon start time. Biffle's not had the best of luck on the road courses this season. In fact, he's DNF'd out of all 3, so it might be another chaotic race tomorrow. It's just so hard to handle the race cars for a full race on a road course on this game. The ovals are hard enough. But it is a wild card race with it being that late in the season. For sure. We know Stewart's a good road course racer. That's the only problem. Is it's a wild card race for most drivers. Tony Stewart might not be one of them, and the fact he's a points leader, but we'll see. We'll see. Could get some engine failures going his way or Jarrett's way. That's 64 points back, Newman. So Biffle's just got to try to put as much pressure on as he can right now. if I'm mathematically out of the championship before the end of the season, I don't know if I'm going to run the last couple races of the year. I know you guys would like to see it, but at the same time, too, I kind of don't want to run 500 laps at Martinsville in the second to last race of the season if we have zero chance of winning the championship. It's like, I'd like to save the ability to not have as much stress on that race. We'll just go full focus on NASCAR Heat 5 to finish up that season a little bit earlier if we fall out of contention. But we're going to fight until we're mathematically out of it, though. Even if we're 300 points back with 3 races to go, mathematically we'd still have a shot. So I'd still be running until we literally are mathematically out. Which you can only gain 151 points total. If you lead the most laps, win the race, you get 185. And if you don't lead any laps and finish last, you get 34. So you can only gain, you do the math there, 151. So it's pretty simple. Just divide that by how many races you have left. And if you are more points than that out of first place, then yeah, mathematically you're out. So until we're at that point, we will continue this season. Because we're starting to pull away in the Rookie of the Year standings, even though we didn't run well the last couple races. Jamie McMurray didn't run well either. He didn't gain ground. If he would have ran top 10 both races, he'd be right back in it again. So I guess that's something else, too. If we lock up the Rookie of the Year and we're out of contention to win the championship, then I'll stop the season a little bit short. I would just shorten those races up if I could, but for whatever reason, you can't like change the actual settings. Once you start the season, you can't change the settings at all. Otherwise, I would probably do like 50%, or I wouldn't mind doing that just to finish the season up if we were mathematically out of it. Already halfway on fuel, 32 laps into the race here in Charlotte. Ryan Newman's jumped inside the top 5 up to 4th. Matt Kenseth as well up to 5th. Biffle tried to get around the outside of a lap car. Boy, Chase Montgomery did not give him a lot of room there, but Biffle still gets around him cleanly, gets the drive and that straightaway speed down the back now. That's going to be insane. If we somehow win out and win these last 7 races and still can't come back in the points if we don't get enough help, I think we're going to go on to win nearly 20 races this year and still not win the championship just because of how inconsistent our season's been. So I think we only have like 2 more top 5s than wins. And I believe 3 more top 10s than wins. We're just not getting to the end of the races if we're not competing. I think we've only got 2 finishes that we've actually gotten to the end of the race that we didn't finish in the top 10, and all the rest were DNFs. That's what's really hurt us this season. But Season 2, I'll have a full season under my belt. We will have raced at every track that we're going to for the next season. I feel a lot more confident going into that. I was so nervous when we started this season because I didn't know how it was going to go, and we actually started off decent. But with the custom schedule, I also put a lot of the easier tracks at the beginning of the year. So once we got halfway through the schedule and we were behind in points, we were not only trying to play catch-up, but we were going to really tough racetracks on this game. And it was just too much to overcome, as you guys have seen. Billy Kramer, welcome to the stream as well. The fuel window today is going to be anywhere between 60 to 70 laps. I'm sure we'll see some guys try to stretch it closer to 70. Biffle's range is going to be right around that 62 to 66 lap mark, if I had to imagine. Maybe a couple laps longer, we'll see. Once this first run is complete, we'll really get a good gauge of how far at least he can go on fuel and be able to figure out the strategy going forward of how many stops we're going to end up having. And we did race at Charlotte earlier this year, so that's the only reason I have a pretty good range of how far we can go on fuel. But again, that was a 600-mile race. This is 500, so it's a shorter race. Not a short race, but it's a shorter race than that. And Biffle made it pretty much past that mark. Again, he only had 4 laps to go when he crashed out of this race earlier this season, so just by simply looking at that alone, there's no reason why he can't get to the end of today's race. 6.3 second lead over Dale Jr. Just need to keep putting the pressure on as this race goes forward. Can't lose the intensity, but as the lead starts to build, has to be a little bit more patient when passing lap cars than what we've seen at certain points earlier in the year. He's gotten better of that as we've gone on through the season, but still not perfect, and that's why he's nowhere really close to the points lead here with this many races to go. That could change still. Wow, Biffle got loose off of 4. He faked high and tried to cut it low to the inside because Mike Skinner was blocking the outside when Biffle started to go high. He was going to try to get around him like he did on Chase Montgomery a handful of laps ago. And when Skinner blocked, that's why Biffle cut down. And turn 4 at Charlotte can be pretty loose on this game from time to time, and that was a good case of that. At least the lap traffic at the back of the field is pretty well spaced apart as well, so that's helping Dale Jr. also. Shows you how long Biffle's been battling with Jimmy Johnson this year, because knowing that this was the racetrack earlier in the season where that rivalry started, pretty much out of nowhere, Biffle got involved in an accident midway through the race and Johnson was a part of it, and that's why he was upset to begin with. And it was in this very race in the this very racetrack in the Coke 600. That was race 18 of the season. This is race 30. It has been 12 races that he has been battling or trying to stay away from Jimmy Johnson one way or another. It's been a long feud. Probably the feud of the year. We had to pick one. I think that's what's so disappointing about the season, too, is Biffle hasn't even had the points lead yet. Even when he was having a little bit of success earlier in the season, much like the midway portion of the year, he didn't have as much consistency. He had better consistency at the beginning of the year, so he was definitely in the championship hunt through the first half of the season, then slowly started falling back in the second half of the year. I think that Coke 600 was really the turning point of the season. Back on race 18, where he was a couple hundred points out, but he obviously with half the season still to go, that is not out of it by any means. Just didn't have that same consistency that he had earlier in the year. Got Brett Bodine right in front of him.
The 11 car is outside. Number 11, Slippy Nine. They're on both sides.
Jeremy Mayfield right there. Biffle got a little tight into turn 3. Drove it in deep to make sure he could clear Mayfield before they got into the center of the corner. I don't even recall a moment in the Coke 600 earlier this year where Biffle had even this big of a lead. It seemed like it was more competitive of a race. Quite surprised though with the qualifying too. He did qualify well, 6th, but I wasn't expecting this kind of a start to the race, knowing how that race went. But again, it's still a longer race, although it's not 600 miles. It's still a longer race, 500, as mentioned. And again, there's Jamie McMurray not running well, about to go lap down early on before the first set of pit stops. Steve Park trying to block. This could get awkward into turn number 3. A little contact between Park and Biffle. They were 3 wide. They luckily were merged only side by side by the time they got into 3. That right there is another case where Biffle just has to take his time getting around the lap cars. Park threw probably an unnecessary block down the back straightaway, but still. Just needs to let him go every now and then. It's a lot different if it's a close race at the end of the race, but this early, especially with as big of a lead as he's got right now, probably doesn't need to happen. Lap 50 here today at Charlotte. Pit window is going to open in about 10 laps for drivers to start coming onto pit road. Maybe see some guys short pit right before then. We'll have to wait and see. That's one thing about this game that's kind of nice. They space the pit window out a little bit more. It seems like on games recently, everybody tries to come down to pit road within like a 2 or 3 lap increment. And it can kind of get chaotic. Now, it can get chaotic here just because it's this game, but at the same time, it's nicer that they all pit at separate times. I mean, the window stretched out to about 10 laps. You do have a lot of short pitting that goes on, or more of it at least, instead of just under caution where you can see that in today's games. Definitely throws a little bit more strategy involved. Plus, you have the option of taking only left sides for strategy, where if you just take 2 tires in today's games, it's right sides only. Kind of hurts on road courses more so than ovals, but especially in a day of age where we're having more road courses, that can be pretty convenient nowadays. But oh well. You can only hope that next year's NASCAR game they can, even just little things like that they can get right, make the game so much more better, especially for my sake when we do these full race live streams. So there's Rusty Wallace, who started at the back. He's worked his way up through about half the field. Maybe a little less than half the field. But Biffle's coming. He's going to try to put him a lap down. Remember, their rivalry sparked right around this race as well. It was in the All-Star race. But it was at this racetrack. Rusty's not mad enough to at least wreck Biffle there, and Biffle will get around him cleanly in turns 1 and 2. That's another thing, too. It seems like 1 and 2 is more of the passing lane compared to 3 and 4. Or the passing corner for Biffle in today's race. A little bit wider angle. The curved front stretch. D-shaped oval. Oh, wow. Biffle just kind of locked the brakes up there because the car wasn't turning and tried to keep it off Nadeau, and he couldn't quite do it. Was in the passing lane too. Yep. Biffle's car starts to walk up the track again. Oh, Craven just pulled down right in front of Biffle off of turn 4. For whatever reason. Obviously trying to stay on the lead lap is what he was trying to do there, but that was not a wise decision. So that just about wrecked both cars, especially with it being the race leader. Sends it into 3, slides on by, and those tires are getting a little bit older too, so that obviously doesn't help. He's on the outside of Robbie Gordon. I don't know how Biffle kept it. Well, he did keep it off of him for a moment. This is not going to be good. Trying to hang on to it late in the run. Man, that's a handful right there. Oh boy, 3 wide. in between Robbie Gordon and Ricky Craven. What a move by Biffle. 3 wide up the middle in the center of 1 and 2. Able to get around both drivers cleanly that time. Knowing that pit stops are right around the corner, they'll soon be able to get 4 fresh tires back on the race car. Be a little bit easier to pass these lap cars. That was a sketchy moment there for those couple laps. Ward Burton got really loose, stuck behind the 43 of Fittipaldi. Here's Jeff Burton. Got loose right in the center of the front stretch. Kind of like he did when he was on the outside. Robbie Gordon and Ricky Craven a couple laps ago. The outside here, 1 and 2. A little bit more grip on that end of the track, it seems like. The car doesn't get as loose, so he's able to actually stick at that time and blow past Jeff Burton down the back straightaway. Those drifted just a little bit more again in 3 and 4. I'm surprised. I thought Stewart was going to start falling back a little bit earlier in the race once he lost the lead and lost second place to Dale Jr., but he stayed in third for quite a while. Kevin LePage just pulled up right in front of him there. Pit stops are starting this lap. Large portion of the drivers coming to pit road at lap 60. Biffle can stretch it at least a couple laps further. He can try to stretch this opening run out as far as he can so he can tell how much fuel he's got. Or that he can go over the course of a full run. Oh man, just got hooked on the back of Jack Sprague. My gosh. Car's already a handful as it is, and I don't think it's helping for Biffle's sake that the lap traffic has just given him no leeway over the last dozen laps or so. Usually see this at the end of the race on this game, not this far in the beginning. We're just now getting in the first pit stops, under green at least. I'm not going to take it 3 wide there. He's going to take his time. Ooh, got stuck on the 30, or sorry, the 21 rather, of Ricky Rudd. Going by Jeff Gordon now as well, going into turn 3. Biffle stays out 1 more lap. So at lap 64, he's going to hit pit road. That will be this time by Dale Jr. still in second place, so that might give the lead up to him unless he pits this time by, or at least the same lap as Biffle here on lap 64. And that could give him 5 bonus points. Again, he's 4th in the point standings coming into today's race. Checks up behind Dale Jarrett. Plenty of room behind him. They'll be coming to pit road here. Oh, try not to spin. And doesn't speed either. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel, no adjustments coming. Damage will be repaired this time on the 16. And at least Biffle has survived the opening fuel run of the race. And it looks like Dale Jr. might be staying out this time. And now there's issues on pit road. The Jackman is just toppled over. Already a mistake on pit road as well for the 16 team. He had a big lead coming in, but it's going to be a slow stop. Oh, it wasn't as slow, 17 seconds. Not the fastest stop, but could have been a little bit worse. And now coming up onto the racetrack. Well, he's going to stay on the apron for now. And after Terry Labonte goes by right there, he'll have plenty of room to pull back up onto the racetrack. So he has lost the lead for the moment. Somebody else able to get 5 bonus points that time by, I believe, Dale Jr., but I could be wrong. He could have very well pitted that same lap and maybe gave the lead to somebody else. Stewart's already led laps, so I guess it doesn't matter if he leads as long as he ends up at the end of the day not leading the most. And that is not the case because Stewart hit pit road same lap Biffle did. So they're on the same strategy right now. Next pit stop scheduled should be about lap 128 if it stays green that long. On the outside of Ricky Rudd. Oh, wow. Big wiggle there off of turn 4. He kept his foot in it, though. Drives right out of it. Ricky Rudd's able to get on by. He was coming out of the pits. That put Biffle in an awkward spot going into 3 on the outside. He wasn't expecting or planning on doing that. He was going down the back straightaway, but he kind of caught Ricky Rudd in a terrible position, but raced him clean there. Now he's got Rudd right in front of him. And Ricky's probably going to try his best to stay on the lead lap, I'd have to imagine. He had a fast enough pit stop with Biffle's mistake. He was able to get back on the lead lap because he was lapped when they came into the pit. So, yes, Dale Jr. is leading, or at least was leading. He's on pit road now at lap 68. Biffle will take over the race lead again, officially this time by. Something I want to point out with this game as well over the course of the season, things that, oh man, Ricky Rudd got loose there going into 1, and that just gives Biffle a spot easily to the bottom. Got a handful of his race car there, and Biffle just evaded to the inside. But anyway, something I've noticed with this game, why doesn't Terry Labonte run well in this game? Not only is he a former champion, yeah, I know he's older in this game, but he did win a race in 2003. That was his last career win, if I'm not mistaken. So he did, I mean, he was at least competitive to, like, win. I believe he finished top 10 of the point standing still, if I'm not mistaken. I think he finished 8th in points. Like, why is he, like, yeah, he's not the same Terry Labonte, but, I mean, he should still be running top 20 consistently. He's just not. I'd have to look at the point standings to see where he's at, but I guarantee he's outside the top 30 in points. Like, compared to where he finished 8th in real life here and won a race that season, like, I don't understand why he's so bad in this game. Similar for Jeff Gordon as well. Gordon's been outside the top 10 in points, or right around 10th in points the whole season. Yeah, he's not winning as many races. He's won 2 races this year. But that's still 10 times better than what Terry Labonte's doing. I don't know. That's just, I think that's kind of strange. Brent Cullen, Shangraw, welcome to the stream. Biffle leads here at lap 72 that time by 16-second lead over Tony Stewart, who has cycled back into second. That's simply because he short-pitted compared to Dale Jr. Well, he pitted the same time as Biffle, and you can see he gained spots, or at least time on pit road as well, with Biffle having that mistake with his pit crew. But that was out of his way. That was the Jackman's fault for falling on his face, going around the right front of the race car. Something else that's just classic with these EA games. There's Kevin Harvick giving room on the bottom there for Biffle. And Biffle's going to get to his inside, trying to put him a lap down. I mentioned he's 5th in points coming in. Needs a solid day. He's just outside the top 10 right now. And that's unfortunate that he's going to go a lap down early on. He doesn't need that to happen if he wants to keep the pressure on for the championship. But again, we got a couple wild card races. I'd probably say 3 of them. I'd say 3 wild card races that are left. Watkins Glen, Martinsville, and Daytona still to go on the season. Car Stuff, welcome to the stream. Oh, Max, all right. I thought Skinner was going to clip the front of the, I believe that's the 49 of Ken Schrader off of turn 4. He had him cleared, though. Biffle's been so dominant in the 400-mile races this season. If this was like today's schedule where we had more 400-mile races instead of 500-mile races, we'd probably be right there for the championship. These races are so long. It's got to be the huge downfall. Like, I'm used to running longer races, obviously, with the 4-race live streams. But again, on today's games, in today's NASCAR in general, there's a lot of 300 and 400 mile races. A lot of the mile and a halves back then are 500 miles, like this race. It's just a normal race at Charlotte, not a crown jewel event. It's 500 miles. Atlanta still got 500 miles, and Texas still runs 500 today in today's NASCAR. But outside of that, it's only the crown jewel events that are that long, and Daytona and Talladega, or well, Talladega, I should say, in that aspect. But I mean, we've got this race that's 500 that wasn't actually on the NASCAR schedule nowadays. Obviously, they run the Charlotte Roll now instead of a second oval race here in Charlotte. But that's one of them that's gone. Pocono has 2 500-mile races on this season. We didn't win either one of those two. Finished 10th in the one and DNF'd in the other on lap 1. Compared to today, they're both less than 400 miles now. California, one race on this season, 500 miles. Today, 400. Now it's going to be a short track next year. What a change of scenery. But I shouldn't say next year. I should say 2022. But yeah, I mean, that's what, 4 races right there. There's got to be more I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. Again, the next scheduled stop for Greg Biffle, lap 128, if we stay green that long. We're currently coming to lap 82 this time by, so we just had those green flag pit stops within the last 15 to 20 laps. 17 and a half second lead roughly over Tony Stewart. Matt Kenseth third. Dale Jr.'s climbed back up to fourth. And Mark Martin, newcomer in the top 5, running fifth. Joshua Rumsey, welcome to the stream. Oh, no, Michigan was 400. Yeah, Michigan's always been 400 miles. IndyCar used to race 500 miles there, but... Well, Carton IRL at that point, I guess. It's been a long time since Indy's ran there. I'm just trying to think. I think there's another mile and a half I'm missing that's 500 miles in 2003 that isn't 500 miles now. I already named Lowe's Motor Speedway. Atlanta's still 500. Granted, there's 2 races, though, versus 1 now, but then again, there's 2 Texas races. And I'm talking in 2020. Not next year's scheduled. And then 1 there. Oh, wow! Bill Elliott got really loose going into turn 1, kind of like Ricky Rudd did. Barely kept it off the wall, but it's going to be enough for Biffle to put him a lap down. There's 2 Darlington races, but one was 400 and one was 500, so they still have that. The one 500-mile race. I don't think the second race they're having there next year is 500. I'm pretty sure it's like a 400-miler. Maybe a similar length of where they ran earlier. Well, yeah, they did run 400 this season. Well, the one race, when NASCAR first came back from COVID, the one race was 400 miles. I think the second race was like 350 in mileage. Right around 300. Nice, Joshua. There is one driver out of the race. Not sure exactly who it is that is out of the race. Didn't quite see who might have blown that engine earlier on. Newman trying to hang on to the lead lap. It's going to be a tough battle. Sterling Marlin right in front of him as well, trying to do the same. Biffle fights hard to the bottom into 1 and 2. His passing lane at least, and he'll get around both cars easily there. It's a little space before the next kind of pack of lap cars just up ahead. So that's 2 more drivers going a lap down. And for Ryan Newman, again, 3rd in points coming in. Newman has had such a consistent season, but no wins on the year so far. He's got a couple runner-ups, especially behind Biffle alone this year. I think back to Michigan at the very beginning of the season, I believe it was the 4th race of the year, where Biffle got his first win of the year and the first career win, obviously, because, again, Biffle's rookie season. But at the same time, too, I mean, Newman was right there at the end of the race. They battled back and forth. Those last couple restarts with the late race cautions, it was a really fun battle. Stan Barrett pulled up right in front of Greg Biffle. Barrett's already a couple laps down, so I don't know why he's battling. Not like he's battling for points either. He hasn't even ran the full season. Part-time schedule for the rookie. Quite a few rookies here in 2003, by the way. I think 4 of them ran full-time, then we have like 3 of them that are running part-time between Chase Montgomery, Ashton Lewis, and Stanton Barrett. David Green might be part-time also, now that I think about it. And then the full-time rookies, Greg Biffle, Jamie McMurray, Casey Mears, Jack Sprague. So I think there's 8 rookies. 4 part-time and 4 full-time. I might be leaving one out by accident. Let me know in the comment section if I did. A rookie in 2003. But I think I got them all. Elliott Sadler was a rookie in 2002. Drove the 21 car for the Wood Brothers before Ricky Rudd stepped in for this season. Jimmy Johnson was a rookie in 03. Neither was Kurt Busch. Yeah, I think those are all the rookies. All 8 of them. Oh, yeah, you're right. I think Christian Fittipaldi is a rookie, now that you mention that. Well, I'll have to see next time we go past him. Kevin LePage isn't a rookie. I might have called him a rookie a couple times this year. I didn't mean to do that if I did. I learned over the course of the season he wasn't a rookie, because I was like, wait a minute, he doesn't have any rookie stripes. Yeah, next time we pass Fittipaldi, I'll have to see if he's got any rookie stripes on the car. nudge and run there for Biffle as he gets around Bobby Labonte. Working on Mark Martin. Kurt Busch might be the driver out of the... Well, I don't know. Because I don't think Biffle's gotten anywhere close to Kurt Busch yet. That's one of his rivals, despite being a teammate. I think he was involved in a big accident at Talladega with him, and that's why he was upset. There's Sprague as Biffle will get around Martin, using the other rookie driver as a pick. And Mark Martin's now a lap down in 5th. But we haven't seen Jimmy Johnson yet today either, so he could be the lone driver out of the race also. I might pause it here for a second just to see who that driver is that is done for the day. So check the race stats here for a second. It's somebody notable, I believe. Where's Kurt Busch running? Yeah, so we don't see Kurt Busch at all yet. So Kurt, okay, so they're both out. All right. There was only one car on pit road. That's what threw me off, too. So Kurt Busch and Jimmy Johnson have both blown engines. They are both out of the race. So that's actually good for Biffle in the sense that he won't have to worry about his one lone rival in today's race. And for Jimmy Johnson's sake, it looks like Biffle, for a 3rd or 4th straight race now, will not even have a chance to retaliate on him. Makes Biffle's job a little bit easier going forward. So Johnson blew an engine first, and Kurt Busch blew an engine after him. I mean, they could be lined up back-to-back on pit road, too, so maybe that's why it looks like there's one on there, but I'm pretty sure... Let me look there, because there's one car. I mean, they could be lined up back-to-back, I don't know. Lap 100 here today at Lowe's Motor Speedway. 4 drivers on the lead lap right now. Unbelievable. Biffle dominating the early going of the race. He's led every lap outside of the cycling and green flag pit stops. There was 2 laps he didn't lead there. There's Christian Fittipaldi. I guess we'll check to see if he's a rookie or not. I think John Andretti drove the 43 car in 2002, if I'm not mistaken. So Fittipaldi might very well be a rookie as well. Oh, man, Montgomery pulled right in front of Biffle there off of turn 2. I think Fittipaldi is a rookie. Biffle again trying to get around Chase Montgomery. Thought about blocking. Yeah, he does have rookie stripes, so they kind of blended in with the yellow paint scheme. But you can tell because there's actually a blue bumper, like the actual bottom of the bumper is blue, and there's some rookie stripes there. So yeah, you're right, Joshua. So there are 9 rookies, 5 full-time and 4 part-time. Matt Kenseth, Dale Jr. still battling it out for 3rd. They're both about to go a lap down as Biffle closes the gap again. They're about 5 seconds behind Stewart in 2nd. Trying to get around, and he's not going to be able to there. Junior trying to block Biffle. Finally gets underneath him through 3 and 4. He's got to run. Now his teammate Kenseth might try to block him. So he doesn't want to go a lap down either. Ooh, Biffle drove it in a little too deep into 1 and 2. Almost slid up into Dale Jr., but not quite. Junior hangs on for the moment. Biffle getting another draft off his teammate Kenseth there off of turn 2. Staying side by side though with Junior. Into 3 and 4. He's going to clear the 8. Still trying to get around the 17 of Kenseth. Now he works to his inside off of turn 4. Lap car of Jamie McMurray might get in the way here. Slower lap car. So Biffle has lapped Kenseth and Dale Jr. now. leaving 2 drivers on the lead lap. Points leader Tony Stewart, race leader Greg Biffle. My favorite to race on the games, Kansas is up there. Mainly in the new games because you could run the outside really well there, and that's kind of fun to just run the outside the whole time. But you could also do that at some of the other mile and a halves, and it works. Like Vegas is another one, Homestead's another one that kind of works with it. I'd probably. It's either Kansas or Chicagoland, honestly. I feel like the AI is a little tougher at Chicagoland, so it makes it a little bit more fun. Because Kansas, not so much. It's a little bit better in Heat 5 compared to Heat 4, but still kind of a similar concept where after so many laps, just pull away. I'd probably say Chicagoland because it's probably the more challenging of the mile and a halves as far as speed goes for me in newer NASCAR games. About 20 laps away from green flag pit stops for the second time. Still caution free today as well. Little boy forever, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Atlanta's pretty fun too. That's another one of those like easier racetracks on the game. Like Atlanta's always been probably my best game in the NASCAR Heat Series for whatever reason. Like I'm just so fast there. I think a lot of it is because the tires wear out so much, so the AI is just naturally slower. Probably either trying to conserve tires or it's too bumpy for them, or something with the game itself that they just don't run that fast there. I guess I kind of forgot about Atlanta, though. That is a pretty fun track. But I like a good challenge, though, from time to time, so... Tony Stewart's still a couple seconds ahead of Greg Biffle before he goes a lap down. A couple lap cars in between the two of them as well. So definitely wants to get that points leader lap down before the next set of pit stops if he can help himself. Rushed it underneath Hermie Sadler. Got it to stick in about half the car on the apron, but boy. Again, luckily the apron, you can actually kind of glue it to the racetrack a little bit better with this game. That definitely helped. Stewart might be aggressive with the blocks here. He shows that he's a rival, but he's not upset enough to at least wreck Biffle intentionally. He's not up to the minus 60. If that would be the case. The rival indicator. He's just below that, though, so he might block pretty aggressively here as Biffle got caught underneath Ken Schrader and Bobby Gordon. 3 wide on the front stretch. They kind of merged going into turn 1, so that helped him out. Biffle trying to get around Stewart. Tony thought about blocking. Biffle gets underneath him, though, going into 3. Biffle got a little tight. Pulled up and cleared him, though. And Tony Stewart is now a lap down here at Charlotte. Ooh. A little hit off the wall. I think that's the first time he might have gotten into the wall today. He's been close a couple times, but tap off of turn 4, nothing major. Right rear just swung out a little bit too much, caught it, and the right front kind of smacked into it too. But again, the car looks to be pretty all right. Still fast. He's passed a lot of cars pretty cleanly today. Tires are starting to wear out just a little bit more this late in the run. Again, he's about 10 laps away from pit stops. And those guys that short pitted the first time around might be pitting here pretty soon as well. To the back of Rusty Wallace. Finally gets to his inside. Wallace was blocking him pretty heavily. Lap car, Stanton Barrett might get in the way on the outside, and Wallace had to check up, and that easily allows Biffle to get around him. Tagged the right rear on the wall again. That time he didn't kind of slap the right front, though. He was able to keep the right front off the wall at least. Again, with pit stops coming up soon, he's only got to stay out of the pits for a little less than 10 laps now. Harvick about to go 2 laps down, and he will. It's kind of a bummer with the track map on this game that doesn't show exactly where the second place car is. So we know we've lapped Tony Stewart, so it's kind of hard to tell exactly where he's at right now. They had 2 races go caution-free so far this season, for those of you wondering as well. That was in the Daytona 500 at the start of the year, believe it or not. And then at Michigan, for the second race at Michigan this season, also went caution-free. Both of those were 200-lap races. Of course, the Daytona 500 was 500 miles, and then the Michigan race was 400. That was the night race we had there. So a long ways to go in this one. That could obviously change. A little bit more spaced out, though, for Biffle's sake here off of turn 4. He's got one more lap car in front of him, and then he's going to have a pretty large space before the next lap car. Big run there in the draft on Jack Sprague. Coast it right around him. Getting pretty low on fuel now for Biffle again, trying to get to lap 128. That would be a 64-lap run just like he had at the start of today's race. Still got a couple more laps to get there. .8 of a gallon left coming to the start-finish line this time. It'll be lap 127. we'll be able to tell down the back straightaway if they'll be able to actually stay out one more lap or not. All 4 tires getting really worn out as well this late in the run. Well, pretty much a clean racetrack as far as in front of him and behind him. It will make it a little easier to make it an extra lap if he needs, and he will push it one more lap. He's got a half a gallon of fuel left. Should be able to make it all the way back around to pit road. He only wasted 0.3 of a gallon the lap prior. So lap 128, it'll be a 64 lap run once again for Greg Biffle. He'll be coming to pit road this time by. It'll be his second stop of the race. Again, caution free, so still running all right. A little slide going into turn 3 there, and Biffle will be coming to pit road. And didn't speed. Perfect job. A lot better getting to pit road that time than what it was the lap prior as well. So green flag pit stops once again. Again, second time today. Still caution free. See if anybody might be able to cycle back on the lead lap. A lot of the field short pitted on Biffle that time. Biffle was one of the last drivers to hit pit road this time around versus he was kind of right in the middle. First time he went to the green flag stops. Starting 8th in the Geico 400. Yeah, I can never qualify well at Daytona and Talladega on the NASCAR heat games for whatever reason. This game I can qualify top 10 fine. Granted, I don't usually use custom setups on the super speedways either on NASCAR heat, so that's probably a large part of it. Doesn't matter where you start, though, when it comes to those guys' races. It's really where you finish. You don't want to qualify at the back, but not the worst thing in the world, at least at that track. Austin's to the inside of Rusty Wallace. I don't think Wallace is pit yet because Biffle just blew right by him like he's on older tires still. Biffle never lost the lead during the cycling of pit stops that time around. Guys maybe just trying to stay out a little bit longer and hope for a caution. Junior 8 seconds off the lead, one of those guys. Dale Jarrett, Ryan Newman trying to do it. I don't blame them for staying out any longer with Tony Stewart running ahead of them this entire race up to this point. They need to try something different to maybe even just trap them a lap down and get those guys on the lead lap. They need to find a way to beat Tony Stewart today one way or another. Junior's still on the racetrack. Dale Jarrett, Ryan Newman came to pit road that last time on lap 131. I'd have to assume Dale Jr. will be the one to pit this time. He was also the last driver to stay out of the pits during the first set of pit stops as well. That's how Junior was able to lead a couple laps. He's only led 2 today, and it was during the green flag stop, so at least he's got 5 bonus points for that. We close in on about 200 laps to go here at Charlotte. Gripping to the racetrack. I mean, we saw Biffle spin on his own off of turn 4 midway through the Coke 600, and then a couple cars piled in after that. Again, hence that's what started the Johnson and Biffle rivalry. Just kind of tagged the wall off of turn 4. He's only done that twice today, but then he just couldn't get off of it and spun the car right around. Stewart's still in third. Junior, I don't believe is pit yet. Either that or he's just now on pit road, which could obviously be the case as well. And if so, that will cycle Tony Stewart right back to being 1 lap down again. Well, he is 1 lap down. I should say back into second place. And it does. We're going to alternate to the different camera angles for the first time in today's race once we get back to the start-finish line, this time by under the lights at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The UAW GM Quality 500. Almost forgot the title of the name. I knew it was long. Glad I remember that. Should say the title sponsor for the race. Andrew Hollenbach, welcome to the stream. Dominant performance in the early going of today's race for those of you just tuning in. This 500-mile event at Lowe's Motor Speedway on NASCAR Thunder 2004. Again, custom scheduled season. Just 6 races to go until crowning a champion at the end of this race today. So it is definitely crunch time on the year, and Biffle is kind of proving that here today, leading the most laps up to this point. Just tells you how long of a race, though, that this is. We're not even halfway home yet. We're getting close. Getting close to the halfway mark, but not there yet. So although it has been a smooth start and a dominating start for Greg Biffle today, still has a ways to go. No, Lowe's Motor Speedway, Charlotte. Yeah, this is Charlotte. Somebody else said Texas earlier in the stream, too. Now, Texas has always been just known as Texas Motor Speedway. I don't think they had an actual sponsor for the racetrack itself like Charlotte did in the 2000s. Ooh, almost looked like David Green might have made contact with Elliott Sadler, who was outside. Tough to tell for sure if that was the case. Biffle just kind of waiting right behind him patiently, waiting for one of those guys to make a move. Now he goes 3 wide to the bottom down the back. I think Sadler's faster than David Green. That's part of the problem there. Oh, wow, Biffle slid up into the corner. Sadler trying to cross over on David Green now down to the bottom underneath him. And it's a good move by Elliott to follow Biffle right on through there. Wallace trying to block there. He's pinching Biffle down going into turn 3. Biffle clears him down the center of the corner. Good thing, too, he started to slide up the track a little bit again with Wallace kind of pinching him down the racetrack on corner entry. Go back to the far chase cam for now. Lap 150 here today at the Lowe's Motor Speedway. Again, the halfway mark is coming up pretty quickly here. About 10 laps or so, roughly. Lap 157 would be the halfway mark. It's a little less than 10 laps. That's the problem. Biffle's having such a good day. Tony Stewart's running second place right now, and that's not what Biffle needs exiting today's race. That's just going to make his job even harder over the last 6 races to cut back into it. That's what I mean. We're going to need a lot of help if we're going to win the championship anyway. Part of it is obviously my fault, for sure. Just getting into too many accidents throughout the course of the season. Now, granted, again, not all of them were my fault. I'd probably say maybe only 3 or 4 of them that I wrecked out was my fault. But, I mean, there was every bit of just bad luck with the other, 7 or 8 DNFs we had outside of those 3 or 4 that would have been my fault this season. Whether it was like a game glitch on the racetrack or somebody wiping out right in front of us out of basically nowhere. We had nowhere to go, and then cars pile in behind us and knocks me out that way. And Robbie Gordon at Infineon kind of caused a big accident there that gave us damage at the course of the race. That's not why we DNF'd, but I think back to something like that where he tried to block us, he wasn't clear, and just stuffed us both in the wall. There's a dozen cars that piled into that accident. Stuff like that, that's just not in my control. Michael Waltrip having a really good run. He's been in the top 5 for this entire fuel run up to this point. In the last pit stop right around lap 125 to 135 for everybody. Again, Biffle's been able to go 64 laps on the first 2 fuel runs of the race, so we're likely looking at the next pit stop being right about lap 182. It's likely going to be that next stop, the 3rd pit stop of the race, unless we get a caution before then. I almost had it. Yeah, pretty much. Unless something crazy happens here, I don't see us winning the championship. So I'm not counting us out completely because this game does have a lot of crazy moments as we've seen over the course of the season. But it's gonna be an uphill climb for sure. We'll do our best. Try to climb up as high in the point standings as we can going forward. Tony Stewart's just having an incredible season. And he's shown that again here today. Led laps early. He's already got 5 bonus points. Even if Biffle gets a max points today, if he wins and leads the most laps, Stewart's already led laps. If he finishes second, he's only going to gain 10 points on Stewart. I mean, Tony's going to have to DNF probably 2 or 3 times the rest of the season. Oh, Dale Jarrett's blocking Biffle off. 16 got loose. Somehow kept it off the 88. Barely. Biffle going to pull up and clear Jarrett. This track does kind of roll in with those higher banked racetracks again. For whatever reason, the higher banked tracks are so much easier to handle or get a good handling race car on this game. So I guess it kind of helps the speed and the handling of the car, why Biffle's dominated up to this point. I believe so. If you don't count the career mode, if you count like only season or championship modes that we've had on the channel, this would be the first one that I wouldn't win. And it'd be on our first attempt here on Thunder 04, so we're going to give it another go. We're going to try our best to win a championship. I don't want to say we're going to keep doing this until we win a championship, because that's a lot of full race live streams to do on one game especially. So we'll give it one more season. I plan on doing 2 seasons anyway, but we'll give it one more season to try and get it done. That'll kind of be like the final call for this game and trying to win a championship. Again, you guys will get to pick the driver. As fans collectively. Again, that will be determined during the Budweiser shootout, the live stream for that. If I had 1,000 subscribers, I'd put a poll on the channel and let you guys vote that way. It'd be a lot easier, but there's I don't have that many subscribers right now, so obviously we're just going to have to wait until that live stream when we go to start the season, and then I'll give it about 5 to 10 minutes for you guys to come in and get as many people in as possible, and we'll have the fan vote for who we're going to drive as for the season. Yep, plan on doing 2005 after this. Plan on working my way up through the years. I just figured this was a good starting point because this is, by popular demand, one of the better NASCAR games out there. Specifically for the career mode, not necessarily the season mode, but still. Plus, at least we get to run with the Winston Cup points format one time at least. Jeff Gordon going to go a lap down. Ricky Rudd, or I should say 2 laps down. Ricky Rudd now trying not to go 2 laps down, but he's blocking Biffle right now. Biffle's not able to get around him. Ricky Rudd's still holding it on the outside. Biffle hasn't cleared him yet. Oh, man, Biffle almost got the wall into 3. A little tight there. Still pulled down the racetrack, though, right in front of Ricky Rudd and had him cleared, luckily. We are past halfway now here at Charlotte. Should be a 5 pit stop race, if I'm not mistaken. The way everything should pan out. Yes, yeah, that's what I planned on doing, so that way we didn't have the same driver voted like every single year or multiple times. Once we have a driver voted, yeah, I don't plan on using that driver again. I'll probably be using Greg Biffle at least once throughout the course of those seasons. So that's a given just because he's my favorite driver. But that's why we do 2 seasons as well. And I'll definitely let you guys get to vote who I'm going to be. We obviously got Kyle Busch voted for the Xfinity Series, and Dale Jr. voted for the Xfinity Series on Heat 5. So I'll just keep it to where when we start doing other series in the later EA games, they start doing in 2005, the Busch and the Truck Series will be available. So when we run races there, if they're available in the game for that series, I won't use them. But as far as the Cup Series goes, because we haven't used them in a Cup season yet in any game, I don't plan on doing that. And for Jimmy Johnson as well, I handpicked him to do the Chase for 8. So if he ends up winning the fan vote over any of these other seasons, I will use him one more time. Yeah, exactly. That's what I had a feeling that Dale Jr. is probably going to win majority of these seasons. And we're only using current drivers at the time as well. So even though I've unlocked like Dale Sr., for instance, I don't want to use him, especially because I know Real Radman did a full season with him as well. Not with the full races, but he did a full season, and like I do it for Dale's series there. So I definitely don't want to do that. I feel like I'm copying his work. Michael Waltrip having a good run, trying to block. Doesn't want to go 2 laps down right now. Oh, wow, Waltrip got loose. Well, that's one way for Biffle to get around him. Getting close to green flag stops again. These tires are pretty well worn out right now. Again, Biffle's only got a 1-lap lead on the field. For whatever reason, it averages out when they're more than a half a lap down. So, particularly in the second half of a race. So Biffle's got a 1-lap lead on the field. So one caution will change everything. Oh boy. Really loose about halfway down the front stretch that time. I do have to give credit as well. I forget what year the game was. I can't remember if it was 2005. Maybe it was 2006 or 07. Whatever game it was, David Reagan was in the truck series, and he had a John Deere number 6 truck. And I always liked that paint scheme. I can remember when I was playing the older games, I really liked that truck. So that'd be kind of cool if he won a fan vote for the truck series one of those years that he was in there, because that'd be a cool paint scheme to run again. I guess if I had to pick him to win one of the seasons, that would probably be the one. His UPS paint scheme was pretty cool too, honestly, in the Cup Series in 2011. So even that season would be kind of cool too. That's what I'm kind of going for, what I'm hoping for with the fan vote is whoever had like one of the better paint schemes that year, it'd be cool to kind of run it more often than not, or whatever driver had better paint schemes, because obviously there's more than one for most drivers. Oh wow, Biffle just got into the wall there towards the end of the front stretch, trying to get around Mike Skinner on the outside. Does get around him on the outside, at least in turns, or off of turn 2 rather, and down the back straightaway. Cleared him easily before they got into 3 and 4. Yeah, the AAA car is not a bad car. It's just kind of I guess his paint scheme I guess all the AAA cars really. I mean, even Joey Logano when he runs the AAA car, the 22. I mean, that's even looked cool too. So I guess yeah, they have had pretty good paint schemes as well. That'd be pretty cool. Fittipaldi about to go another lap down. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I did my math wrong. I don't usually do my math wrong very often, so. But I did do my math wrong. The next pit stop for Greg Biffle is going to be lap 192, not lap 182. Again, 64 lap stints is what he's gone through the first 2 runs so far, so I guess Biffle's still got another dozen laps or so before his next pit stop from now. He's just hit low on fuel. That's what kind of reminded me of it. So he's not going to pit to lap 192 because, again, he last pitted at lap 128. So it might actually be closer to a 2-stop race to the finish from here instead of 3. That's part of why I was originally thinking it was 3. I think it's still going to be 3. Because even 64 laps from there, that would only take those guys to about... lap 254 for the 4th stop if we do stay green, again, all the way till the 4th stop of the race. And they wouldn't be able to make it on fuel for the final 80 laps. Nobody should be able to. So yeah, it is still a 3-stop race to the finish. Gets right around Bobby Labonte. Oh, got a little loose. Biffle's just clinched the most laps led already in today's race. Not too far past the halfway mark. Heavy lap traffic now with a lot of faster cars that are 1 lap down. Danger of going 2 laps down. Biffle slides going into the corner, and some of the drivers from the front of the field are starting to go to pit road. Biffle just door checks Junior off of turn 4. Are sliding around quite a bit here with about 50 lap old tires. Underneath Ryan Newman. Looks like he's going to make a pass on him. Wow, Biffle got loose off of 4, barely keeps it off the wall, gets a drive down the front stretch on Mark Martin and clears him as well. That's one way to keep your foot in the throttle. Well, yeah, I mean, 2010 and 2011 down the, I mean, that's going to be down the road, so I'm not even really thinking about it. I mean, you got to figure it's taken about 4 months just to get this season in. That's just kind of, you know, an idea that I'm planning on doing. Obviously, if the channel's around by then, which I would hope that it would be. It's just going to depend on where I'm at in life, you know, 5-6 years down the road, obviously. I'd love for this to always be there. Even if I do get a, you know, a broadcasting job within NASCAR, it'd still be cool to, you know, obviously I wouldn't be able to do this every day if I had a job like that, but I'd be able to do it, you know, during the week a couple times for sure still. Where we've seen accidents happen the most probably this year is right at the end of an actual pit window. Tony Stewart pulling back up onto the racetrack. That Biffle getting right around him there, 4 wide. Biffle clips the 17 of Kenseth now. Wallace in the way. Oh, they're crashing. Biffle trying to make the save. Stewart's in the grass. Biffle's in the grass. We stay green. No caution. Wow, that could have been bad. Kenny Wallace kind of checked up in the center of 3 and 4. Biffle got into the back of him after already making contact with Kenseth on corner entrance. Man, that was a moment and a half there. Some of these guys were able to get right back around. Stewart short pitted and was coming out of the pit, so he was kind of put in an awkward spot in the middle of all that as well. It's as close as we've come to an accident today by far. Great saves, though, by Biffle and Stewart, despite pretty good contact to not get their cars to spin. Couple more laps for Biffle until he hits pit road. Lap 189 right now, just passes Jeff Green down the front stretch. A little more room to run. It'll make it a little easier. Large portion of drivers were on pit road that last lap. I think Biffle's going to pit a lap sooner this time at lap 191. What it's looking at. Might as well get 4 fresh tires on this race car and get right back out there again. So lap 191, all 4 tires pretty worn out. End of the fuel run here for Greg Biffle. This is going to be his 3rd pit stop of the race. And still caution free today at Charlotte. Get to pit road again here. Been near perfect getting to pit road all day today. So 4-tire stop, no adjustments. Damage will be repaired after a little bit of contact there in the closing laps of that fuel run. And another mistake on pit road. That time it's the fuel man. The gas man. 16 crew, the jack man, already had an issue on the first pit stop of the race. Falling over when he was trying to get to the right side of the race car. And now the fuel man has issues there. And that was an even slower stop than the first stop today. Staying on the inside of the racetrack, faster cars on the actual racing surface coming on by. Sterling Marlin goes on. Biff will pull up in between Marlin and Stanton Barrett, it looks like, down the back straightaway. So lap 254 is perhaps what Biffle's looking at. 253, 254, somewhere around there. He stayed out the longest through the first 2 pit stops. It looks like it's going to be the same through this 3rd stop as well. Yeah, I think ARCA released their schedule before, but the East and West Series, formerly known as the K&N Series. Okay, so they released today. I'm going to be honest, I don't think I watched a single ARCA East or West Series race last year. I think I only watched like maybe 2 or 3 actual ARCA races last year. I watched Daytona at the beginning of the year. I usually do there, the build up for Speed Weeks. I don't know if I saw another race from start to finish though in ARCA last season. I might have popped in, and I think I popped in and saw some of the Pocono race. And I saw highlights of the Toledo race, and that might have been about it, honestly. Tony Stewart is back into the top 5. He's up to 4th place, so he did lose a little bit of ground. Dale Jr. is on pit road right now, though, so he'll probably cycle out behind the 3rd and 4th place cars. Stewart's just had a strong car all day. I mean, he's been top 3. He's basically been in 2nd this whole race, right behind Greg Biffle. Yeah, I mean, as far as like a lap-by-lap personnel, for sure, that seems to be where it starts. As far as like in-booth announcers, I look back to like Rick Allen did a lot of ARCA races back in the day when he first went to Fox/Speed Channel. He was doing truck and ARCA full time with Phil Parsons. It was kind of his first. Usually, you don't see guys in the racing world, at least, like start off that big. So I don't know if he did much. I guess from like his background, he did a lot of like stick and ball sports when he was calling games, which probably makes sense with the, his style of broadcasting, because you can kind of tell that there's some similarities there with that, and I think that's a large part of it. He's always been a fan of racing, so got the job. Yeah, sure, I'll definitely take it. So don't blame him for that. It was a good role, and he was really good. I thought his prime was when he was calling those truck races back in the early to mid 2000s. I mean, he was top of his game right there, and he's had some good calls in the Xfinity and Cup Series since moving to NBC as well. But I feel like they're fewer and far between compared to what it was back in the mid 2000s when he was doing the truck and ARCA broadcast. But he definitely did a very good job there. I feel like people tend to forget that when they think of Rick Allen as a commentator. So he does have the capability to do a very good job, and he is really good. I don't think enough people give him credit for it. That you don't know either with working for a different company. Maybe, NBC's trying to more or less like kind of control what he says and to a certain level where he can't really compensate for it as well as what he worked for Fox and Speed back in the day. Because that could be a large part of it as well. Between that and the star power of Fox in the early 2000s as well, like Darrell Waltrip, especially at that time, was such a familiar face and one of the better NASCAR drivers, especially at that time, of all time. So to get him in the booth, that was a big win there. And for Larry McReynolds as well, one of the better crew chiefs at the time. So to get both of those guys, there was a lot of star power in the booth. Mike Joy, he was awesome when he worked for CBS in the 90s. So you kind of knew what you were getting with him, how great he was at his job, still is. So that definitely, I would have to imagine, attracted a lot more attention as well with just the broadcast side of things, even going into Fox's original beginnings back in 2001 and those early years in the early 2000s. I think that's kind of the idea they have, too, with Fox right now. With putting Boyer in the booth and bringing Jeff Gordon is kind of that similar aspect of, you know, getting the fresher faces, more familiar faces with today's young audience. Because most of today's audience, you know, knew Darrell Waltrip as a commentator. They didn't really think of him as a driver like they would have 15, 20 years ago when he was first coming into the booth. So now you got Boyer, who's just retired last season. Gordon, who has only been retired since 2016, he ran part-time there. But, you know, even, you know, last full-time season, 2015, so it's relatively new. NBC's doing the same thing with Jeff Burton and Dale Jr. as well, Steve Letarte. All familiar, fresh faces. As far as the play-by, see, that's the thing, though, with Fox. Like, who are they going to have once Mike Joy retires? He wants to do this as long as he can. And he's already stated that. He loves his job even to this day. And, I mean, how can you blame him, for one? And for two, you know, he's going to stay in there as long as he, you know, wants to. And he doesn't have any, you know, motivation to stop doing it. You know, any saying stop doing it. He likes the schedule that he's working with right now. But once he does retire, like, who do you look at to take over for Fox? Like, who's the next, like, younger face of commentators on Fox? Because I don't think Vince Welch is going to move up into that spot. He does an all-right job in the Truck Series. Again, I think he does a little bit better than what most people give him credit for, but at the same time, too, I don't think he's going to be the face of, nor do I think he should be the face of the Cup Series as far as, you know, lead commentator role. He does a great job as a pit reporter for Fox during the Cup Series broadcast, too, so I'd like him to stay there. It'll be interesting to see what goes on there. Yeah, I've gone indoor golfing a couple times already. I actually, on Monday, I have Mondays and Tuesdays off now. And, oh yeah, by the way, I didn't really mention this. I did get a new job. I was in the process of trying to find a new one as it was. Therefore, that's why I had a little bit more availability. But I did actually get a new job last week. So, I'm actually off Mondays and Tuesdays. But anyway, every Monday and Tuesday during the off season from last week up until I get back to golfing, I'm going to make sure I go to an indoor driving range / golf course. Basically hit off a simulator. Try to keep my swing going, especially as I'm getting into working out again this off season, so that way my swing doesn't change drastically by the time I start the next year. Try to get a little bit more power as well. Just work on some stuff. Now's the time to do it. Because once golf season starts back up again, I'm going to be hitting the course every day. It's going to be a little harder to actually work on the small things on my game. I should say I'm off Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, but Sundays, obviously, especially when racing season starts, I'll be booked there. Both with the channel and with the race itself, but Mondays, Tuesdays, definitely going to take the golf course there. the way my schedule works, I'll be able to play once. Obviously, it's not going to get as dark as early once we get into warmer springtime, April, May, and beyond. So I'll be able to play 9 holes even after work when I get off at 6, and then probably stream at like 8, 9 o'clock. I'm just hoping and praying that this next place is going to allow me to keep doing this, because that was another thing that was changing. Like other people knew I had a YouTube channel that I worked with, coworkers and stuff, and my manager, for instance, did, but they didn't take that into consideration of like me having to work. And we were originally, it was 12-hour shifts, but we were at the point for about 3 or 4 months I was working 13 to 14-hour shifts, more like 12, and I kept trying to tell them I need to get off when I'm scheduled off, and if you need me to work overtime, I'm more than welcome to come in another day. But they didn't do that. They would work you to death the 3 or 4 days I was there, and it was just constant like rotation. I'm like, this is just too much. Like, I can't handle both, and that was some of the factor that led into me leaving. It was coming to a bitter end. Sad part is I still had a little bit of vacation time left that I was going to roll over into the next year. I wasn't able to do that, unfortunately. So I've lost my vacation time at this next place. And with the tracks I'm going to next year, I'm really hoping I can cooperate with them. I already mentioned to them, what I do, and that I want to, have plans of going to races next year because I'm working Saturdays. Yes, I'm off Sunday, the day of the race, but most of the races I'm going to next year are races I have to drive, 6 to 8 hours at least. So I need to leave the day before. I can't leave the day of, and be zombified by the time I get there after working a full. Like, I need that Saturday off, because I don't mind working Saturdays, except for when I need that Saturday off for when I'm traveling. But outside of that, yeah, I'm perfectly fine. They were kind of like hesitant on it. That's the only thing I'm worried about. Is it'll be fine for now, but once NASCAR season starts back up again, and hey, I have tickets for this weekend. Remember I'm supposed to leave. Oh no, you can't do that, or we need you to work. That's not. We're gonna end up in the same path that it was with my last job. So that's the only thing I'm hesitant on. But right now it's all right. But I'm hoping it doesn't lead into that again, and then I end up having to work when I'm not. And that was another thing too with this other place. Like, I don't really vent about it too much. I kind of am now, but we're at a slow portion of the race. I can do it, I guess. But as far as like my last job, like, yeah, I would work all those hours, and then when I was actually gone and I actually had to put in physical vacation time to leave because I had it, I couldn't like actually get those days off, so I had to work around. Okay, I take 1 or 2 vacation days here so I can go, because I had 2 weeks of vacation. So I was only I was working all those hours. I'd be off my weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, depending. Sometimes I'd have to work Thursday, but whatever. It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday I was off, so I put a vacation day on Monday, Tuesday. So I'd be gone, and literally the day I came back, I had to wake up for work the next morning. And you guys know that I had to go in super early. I was especially working like 40 minutes away, 45-minute drive there and back. So on top of working 13, 14-hour shifts, I was having to drive an hour and a half at least a day between there and back combined. And then doing this, like, I was just getting too tired after so long. I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And they weren't going to cut me any slack. So I was like, listen, I don't want to work here my whole life, but I was willing to work there long enough to do something broadcasting-wise until I got, my feet under me in the broadcasting world. But I couldn't, they weren't going to allow me to do that. So hopefully this place does. And if it doesn't, it's going to be the same rotation again. I'll be looking for another job in the spring, like looking for a flexible schedule. Like, when I'm there, I'm hands-on 100% of the time. And that's what it was with this place. I didn't feel like I got the credit I deserved for it. Because I work hard when I'm there, but at the same time, too, I need the free time to do this and build my own career with the broadcasting, too. Courtman Plays, welcome to the stream. Kyle Button, welcome as well. You guys just tuning in. Going to Talladega. Yeah, hey, maybe I'll see you there. Yeah, I'll be going to Talladega in the spring again. I was actually there for the playoff race last year. Next year I won't be there for the playoff race, but I will be there in the spring. I believe late April, last weekend of April was the race, so can't wait. I had a blast. Definitely wanted to. I'm not one for going back to the same track, especially wanting to explore new tracks, because my goal is to hit every single racetrack in the Cup Series at least and go there. But Talladega was so fun last year. I'm like, I gotta go there again next year. So instead of going for the playoff race, I'll be going for the spring race next year. And then the same thing with Bristol. Well, see, the thing with Bristol too, I saw the All-Star race there, but I don't want to like actually check it off the list of. Like, I wasn't originally planning on, like, going to a Bristol Spring race or something like that. So I definitely want to go back for the night race next year, too. So although it's the same track, I didn't necessarily count Bristol as, like, seeing a points race there. So I definitely want to do that. And I do want to go for the dirt race. It's technically a different configuration if you consider same track, but there's dirt on it. So it is a different track to me. So I definitely want to go there for the spring race as well, for the dirt race. I've pretty much solidified the tracks I'm going to next year. So again, I'll kind of have a schedule out there. If you guys would be willing to want merch, I could consider maybe trying to figure out something as far as like T-shirts and stuff with the schedule of races I'm going to next year. Maybe a cool design on the front and back. So kind of keep an eye out on that. Once we roll into 2021 and closer to the start of the season, we might be having some stuff there. Obviously, we got to get the subscribers up too, but just some stuff I'm looking at goal-wise 2021, what we're looking at for the future of the channel. So lap 230 right now. We're about 20 to 25 laps away from green flag pit stops. We haven't had a single caution yet today. I don't know if Tony Stewart's upset with Biffle. They made contact right before the last set of stops about 40 laps ago. Oh yeah, he's upset. This might not be an easy pass for Biffle. Lap 231, he's going to try to get around him as quickly as he can and not waste any time. Stewart's got a lot more to lose than what Greg Biffle does. Just remember that. Similar situation to Bristol, but they had accidental contact earlier. Oh, Stewart takes a shot at him right in the center of the corner. Another shot. Then they got stuck together. My goodness. Biffle a little tight. Into 3 and 4, Stewart riding all over his back bumper. Trying to close the gap again. Biffle lets him go, and this might get pretty ugly here. Rivalry renewed here at Bristol, or at Charlotte rather. Here today. This guy's last had a run in at Bristol. Biffle's got a run off of turn 2. Next NASCAR Heat 5 stream is not going to be until next Wednesday, I believe. No caution so far, but we could be very well close to seeing, wow, Biffle got loose off of 4. Remember, these guys on a little bit older tires. They only got about 20 laps left in the fuel run. Wow, Stewart got loose going into 1. Biffle's going to gain a little bit of ground back again. It's the points leader, Tony Stewart, with issues. Biffle trying to retaliate on him right now after he tried to wreck him not once but twice a couple laps ago. He doesn't want to get alongside of him in the center of a corner because that could be some really bad things that could happen there. Biffle's got 20 laps until the pit stops. I think he's willing to sit around and wait until he gets a good look at Stewart. Now he's got to run to the outside off of turn 2. Big run by Biffle. And around goes Stewart. And, oh, Stewart's up and over. Stewart on his side. I think they missed him further back. First caution of the race. Lap 235 here at Lowe's Motor Speedway. 100 to go. Stewart goes up and over. I think he blew over after the contact with... Backed it into the wall. I don't think anybody else got involved. Retaliation there after a hit to the inside. The car just toppled over. Wow, he almost got cleaned out by Casey Mears. That was close. Caution for the first time today. There will not be another stream today, no. Especially with my Packers playing tonight instead of tomorrow. Well, I guess if we DNF, we will, but... So a large portion of drivers coming to pit road there. There is some damage to the right side of the race car, mainly from Stewart door checking him before. So that's why Biffle was trying to get back at him there. Spinning Tony Stewart. I do need Tony Stewart to DNF. I don't want it to come to this. I was racing him clean the first 2 times we saw him earlier, but he got upset that time, and we're not taking it. Like, if we're going to lose the championship, we're going to lose it straight up. We're not going to lose it because he wrecks us.
There were a couple of cars that didn't pit. Now they're leading the pack.
So Stewart is falling outside the top 10 there. He obviously lost another lap because Biffle was the leader. And Biffle is the only driver on the lead lap. Green flag back in the air here at Charlotte. I'm not sure if Stewart's still in the race or not. Oh, wow, almost a contact there. Biffle falls in line. Kenseth gets a lap back. Now, nobody else was involved, so we might not see any debris cautions after that. Again, that's the only caution here today, and it came with 100 to go. By me, yes, that was intentional. That was intentional by me, but that, again, was because he tried door slamming us twice, and we're not having that. We're not having it. We've DNF'd too many times this year. We can't let people push us around. So that was pretty much what that was. Now, Kenseth's got the clean air now. I don't think he's back on the lead lap of this. He could be. Actually, he might be on the lead lap. So I think he was only 1 lap down. So yeah, Kenseth is back on the lead lap. Now Martin, I believe he is 2 laps down because he is behind Biffle. So Kenseth's right back into this if we get another caution. He has not won yet this season, but he's been close a couple times. He ran well in the first race at Charlotte this year in the Coke 600. Remember, his first career win was in the Coke 600 back in 2000 in his rookie season. Winning a Crown Jewel race. Biffle trying to get around his teammate. Kenseth's got a little loose at the exit of the tri-oval there, and he's just blocking Biffle off. Biffle wants to put him a lap down as quickly as he can before we get another caution. Now, with the pit stops there, nobody can make it to the end of this race on fuel. It's still a 1 pit stop race to the finish. That was the 4th stop of the race for everybody. Oh, we do have a caution. Kenseth is still on the lead lap as they race back to the caution flag. 2nd caution of the day. And it is debris off of Tony Stewart. I believe his hood came off. And Kenseth is right back in this thing. Just like that. After 2 cautions in the final 100 laps. Unbelievable. That's pretty cool. Green flag back in the air. Matt Kenseth. Right on the back bumper of Greg Biffle. It's a new race again. Kenseth gets a run on the outside after the contact between Biffle and Martin on the bottom.
The 6 car is inside.
And the 2 Roush Fenway Fords are now trying to go at it. Martin slides up right in front of Biffle. Biffle slides up in front of Martin. Bobby Labonte all over the inside of Kenseth as well with the lap cars lining up on the inside of the lead lap cars. That kind of hurt Kenseth a little bit. Yeah, that's something that's always been a part of my life. I've always been a NASCAR fan, but I've always been a dirt racing fan, although I don't like follow the World of Outlaws as closely as I probably should. But I grew up going to our local dirt track more than anything else when I was a kid. We'd go there like, every bit of once a month, twice a month to see a race. So that, I mean, when I was, really young, that was kind of what I finally remember as far as my introduction to the auto racing world. Kenton trying to work his way back around the lap cars. Does he have a chance to get back to his teammate Greg Biffle? Biffle's had a strong car today. It's been a while since he hasn't led. I think the green flag stops right around lap 65 or so. The first time today, Junior led a couple laps in there, and that was it. Kenton's 6th in the point standings. Don't count him out if he has a great day today, so maybe even if he doesn't win, he would like to get 5 bonus points for leading a lap, if given the opportunity. Oh boy, Tony Stewart is coming back through the pack with a damaged race car. Toppled over. I don't know if he did a full flip. He landed on his side with a little bit of a blowover after Biffle had turned him down the back straightaway. Retaliation. Stewart is in 4th place still. 2 laps down though. That didn't phase him one bit, and I think he might be coming back after Biffle if he gets an opportunity. So Biffle's got to be careful. Stewart trying to get around Dale Jr. currently for 3rd. But again, the battle for the leads between Biffle and Kenseth. Oh, for sure. Yeah, racing's always been in my blood. Simply for that reason. It's always been a huge part of my life. I feel like my passion for racing, and NASCAR in particular, just keeps growing by the year because I've just become, especially like the last 3 or 4 years, like I've just become so much more knowledgeable of the sport than what you could ever be as a kid. With the ins and outs of it. And trying to look at it from a neutral standpoint. Yes, I have my favorite drivers still, but I do, especially when I'm doing the full race, analysis of my videos after every NASCAR Cup race, the same thing applies. Like, I think of a race, good or bad. Yes, I might enjoy it more if Blaney's, like, dominating a race, but at the same time, too, I'm willing to take that out of context and out of consideration. Really NASCAR related. Really with any sport, but especially NASCAR too. I'm able to put like my favorite teams aside. Okay, is this good or bad? Still definitely wants payback. See, the thing is, with Kenseth and Biffle battling for the lead, Kenseth's not going to give Stewart the freeway to get around. Wow, Biffle got loose there. Down the front stretch, Stewart back to 3rd place again. I mean, he's been in the top 3 all day. Even after that accident, it's insane how he's been able to stick with it. Kenseth gains a little bit of ground in 1 and 2 that time. It's going to be so hard to pass Biffle knowing he's got the clean air right now at this point in the run. Biffle's only going to get faster over the course of the run as well. And again, as mentioned, he definitely wants to lead a lap if he can do so. You could always get another debris caution from Stewart as well. I didn't think we were going to get one before, but then after seeing that debris caution come out a couple laps after the incident, after we went green in the first caution, I didn't think he had as much damage as he did. I mean, let's be honest. Biffle retaliating on Stewart there after Stewart tried to take Biffle out again. It won't end up doing much if Stewart makes it to the end of this race because he is still in the top 3. It's not going to cost him really any points. And it's only going to spark this feud going forward here to the end of the season. Stewart looks to the inside of Kenseth down the back straightaway. Really wants to get around him. Kenseth again, though, kind of shuts the door in the center of 3 and 4. Oh, Biffle got the wall off of turn 4. Stewart still to the inside of Kenseth. Kenseth had a run there. Biffle made a mistake off of turn 4. He's only gotten into the wall probably 3-4 times at total this entire race, and it's been off of turn 4 every time. Stewart has cleared Kenseth, pulls up and blocks him in the center of the corner, trying to keep Matt behind him. And Biffle can't make another mistake here and allow Stewart to get near him. I do not have NASCAR Heat 4. No, I traded Heat 4 in. I had the physical copy. I usually get the physical copy of games. I had the physical copy, and I traded it in when I bought NASCAR Heat 5 originally. I had the gold edition for both games. Kenseth back to the inside of Stewart again. That's just amazing without a hood that Tony Stewart's able to run as fast as he is. Kenseth has gotten back around Stewart. We got to alternate to the different camera angles one final time now in today's race. No, I don't have any of the NASCAR Heat games anymore. Literally, like I'd get the game and then I would trade it in when I would get the next NASCAR Heat game. Yeah, I don't have any of them. At the chat a little too long there. It's the first time Biffle's gotten in the wall off of turn 2 all day. Kenseth's still clinging around. He slips back a little bit. Biffle makes one minor mistake. He's able to close in, but now Biffle hasn't made a mistake in a couple laps. He's still within a second. Tony Stewart's back to 5th. I think the damage is starting to catch up with him on the longer run, if I had to guess, because it's been passed now by Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin, who both drivers really haven't been in the top 5 at all today. Marlin up to 3rd. That's what Biffle and everybody else wants to see is Stewart continue to go backwards. He's still the highest running driver in the top 5 in points. Dale Jr. starting to slip back on this run as well. He was 4th in points coming into the day. We haven't really seen much of Dale Jarrett, who is 2nd in points, 64 back, or even Ryan Newman, who's been 124 back. I don't think Jarrett's even been in the top 5 today outside of maybe cycling through stops, so he might have let a lap in there somewhere. I don't think so, though. Same goes for Ryan Newman. Haven't seen Newman in the top 5 since a very early going of the race. Still only a 1 second lead, though, for Biffle. Scat has to keep hitting his marks. That's the big thing here now that Kenseth's back into it, because Kenseth's not going to go a lap down before the end of the race again, even if the lead does get strung out. And again, we'll have to see if maybe he'll short pit on Biffle when the fuel window opens again. Again, we have one more stop to the finish of the race. He'll easily make it on one more pit stop as well. It won't even be close to being a 2-stop race. Caution kind of split things up nicely as well, both of them. Let's be honest, though, still, even if Tony Stewart just finishes in the top 10, I mean, that alone, and Biffle's not going to gain a whole lot on him. Stewart has led laps today. Remember, he led the first 11 laps after starting on the pole. There's really nothing anybody could have done there, especially once Stewart got through the gears quickly on the initial start as well and was able to clear everybody off of turn 2 on the opening lap. Brushes the wall a little bit once more. Biffle should move back into the top 10 of the point standings over the win here today. Again, he's not completely out of it. And again, we still have 3 wildcard races in the final 6. And it starts with tomorrow when we go to Watkins Glen. So you never know, a race like that could change the picture a little bit more for the better or for the worse for these drivers. Just have to wait and see. Start time for that one again, noon Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow afternoon. Drivers pitting here right as the fuel window is open once again. Biffle to the inside of Stanton Barrett. Oh, man. Biffle did not get that car to turn well, and then it snapped loose on him a little bit after he started off the corner tight. Stanton Barrett all over his back bumper. Luckily, he had him cleared. Ooh, boy. Montgomery not giving him a lot of room. Again, we're in the final 100 laps of the race, so you know what that means. The lap cars are going to be harder to pass now than ever before in today's race. Biffle's made so many minor mistakes in these final 100 laps where he did not make any of them virtually in the entire first 2/3 of the race today. The problem with short pitting for Biffle's sake, and really Kenseth as well, yes, the pit window is open right now. But if we get a caution in the middle of green flag stops between the two of them, that's going to trap one of them a lap down. And that will take them out of contention to win it late. So it is a two-driver race right now, and they're both teammates. I think that's why Kenseth hasn't pit right now either. He has been pitting a little bit before Biffle today. Biffle's starting to finally widen that gap out on the long run here. 3.4 seconds between Biffle and Kenseth. Martin has gotten around Stewart again for fourth, meanwhile. So there are 3 Roush Fenway Fords in the top 4 now. And those guys are 2 laps down. Guys should be able to get to right about lap 300 before the next stop. Because they did try to stretch it as long as they can, which I'm sure Biffle's going to try to do at least. The race lead. And now he's, again, widening that gap out slowly but surely. David Green trying to pinch Greg Biffle out there. Got a little loose. Green definitely tried to crowd him. Still all right, though. Not sure exactly where Dale Jarrett, Ryan Newman are running right now. Newman has been in the top 10 for most of the day, just not running anywhere near Stewart, who's been pretty much in the top 3 all day until now, running 5th. Yeah, I don't even think Jarrett's really been in the top 10 much. I mean, there's a very good chance that Stewart's going to expand the points lead even more at the end of today's race over the couple guys that are at least within reach of him, within a race reach of him. When did Ricky Rudd start driving the 28 car? Good question. I think it was 2005, if I'm not mistaken. Or 2004. It might have been 2004. I think it was 2004. And he was in the 28 car in 2000. Yeah, I think. Could be wrong. Well, Tony Stewart has either just fallen outside of the top 5 or he tried to short pit, one or the other. So Ward Burton now is into the top 5. And how about that day? Ward Burton started last place, ladies and gentlemen. And after nearly 500 miles of racing, he is in the top 5. Great run after one of his worst qualifying efforts, if not his very well worst qualifying effort this season. That's pretty solid. Can't have any complaints there for the Bill Davis Racing number 22 car. Yes, Jamie McMurray drives the 42 car. He's a rookie here in 2003. He ran part-time in 2002, ran the number 40 for Sterling Marlin. If you remember, Marlin got hurt in the 2002 season. At the end of the year, McMurray filled in for him and actually won a race at Charlotte in his second career attempt on fuel mileage. So that was Jamie McMurray's first career win. That won him a full-time ride for Chip Ganassi Racing in the 42 car in 2003. So yes, he is a rookie running full-time and for the Rookie of the Year this season along with us. And again, he, I believe, is second in the Rookie of the Year standings, but he's starting to slip behind, and Greg Biffle's starting to slowly pull away, especially with a performance like this out of Biffle here today. So at least there's something for us to fight for, even if we fall out of contention for the championship. Oh, man. Sadler pulled a block there on Biffle. Wasn't clear. Made contact with him. The outside of Terry Labonte. Kiss off the wall. And down to the bottom, I believe, underneath Ken Schrader in the 49 now. Try to make a pass on him. I think there was a couple injuries. It was in a crash at Kansas at the end of the year. And I can't remember exactly what his injuries were. I remember him like having like a neck brace and like a one of his arms was casted. So I think he might have like broke. It was probably like a spinal injury / like collarbone injury if I had to guess. I remember seeing the crash, not live. Obviously, I'd be lying to you if I told you I remembered that, because I would have only been like 3 years old. But yeah, I've seen the wreck like on YouTube and stuff before, but I don't know the exact injuries that came out of it. I know he was in the championship talk. Actually won a couple races that season in 2002 as well. Kind of like a career resurrection to have as good of a season as he did. And that crash took him out of the championship battle, unfortunately. So he had led for parts of the season as well in the points. That pretty much handed that points battle to Tony Stewart and Mark Martin to fend it off between each other. His final few races. Murray just about pulled down in front of Biffle as well there.
Number 42,
An 11-second lead now over Matt Kenseth for Greg Biffle. Not a whole lot of damage on the 16 car. It's only in the yellow, so that's not a bad thing, and he will get to repair it when he comes to pit road for the final time here. Probably before long. Only has about 2 gallons of fuel left. Probably go a handful of laps here, just past the 300 lap mark. Probably about 30 laps to go is when you're going to see Greg Biffle hit pit road for the final time here today. To wait to see if we get a caution before then or not. Again, we've only had 2 cautions total today. 1 for incident, 1 for debris. Oh, wow. Blown engine, 2 of them. Right in front of Biffle. Wow, that was strange. Casey Mears blew up, and I couldn't tell who the other driver was that blew an engine right in front of Biffle as he had to check up. He was already side by side with Bodine, and he didn't really have anywhere to go. So lap 300, we have 2 more engine failures from lap cars running towards the back in today's race. Fractured vertebrae, yeah, that makes sense. I remember him like having like a neck like splint or brace, so I figured it was a spinal injury of some sort. So yeah, vertebrae, that makes sense. A lot of drivers have been pitting over the last couple laps here under green flag conditions. Biffle's going to stay out just a little bit longer, or at least until Kenseth pits. And he knows that Kenseth pits. And yeah, Kenseth has already pitted. And there he is. Oh no, sorry, that's Jeff Green. I saw the yellow car. I thought that was him coming out pit road, but no, it was Jeff Green. Kenseth's already hit pit road. Half gallon of fuel left for Biffle, so he could stay out 1 more lap. He'll have to pit at lap 303. Oh man, kind of got pinched. Contact with Chase Montgomery. Boy, oh boy. Biffle got loose, drove it in way too deep. Montgomery pinched him off at the same time. Montgomery trying to make contact with him again. Biffle trying not to spin. Coming to pit road. A little hairy there. 4 fresh tires, full tank of fuel. And Biffle on pit road now for the final time today. Do I remember Casey Mears' first win? Yeah, a similar situation how McMurray got it. 25 car fuel mileage race. That was a crazier race though. Oh geez, that's the second time the Jackman has toppled over today, and that's the 3rd time that Greg Biffle's crew has made a mistake during a green flag pit stop. That's insane. Luckily, he's had a fast car and he's been able to manage it on the racetrack because the pit crew off the racetrack has just costed him a couple times now. 19-second stop. Just has to be careful coming back up onto the racetrack now. We'll have 30 laps to go this time by. But anyway, what I was going to say, that finish was crazy because he had Kyle Petty at the end of his career getting, I think he finished top 3. And I think Reed Sorensen finished 2nd behind Casey Mears. So you had like 3 drivers that either hadn't won in their career, haven't really been relevant in their career, or haven't won in a long time for Kyle Petty's sake up to that point. Like all running top 3, waiting on each other to run out of fuel at the end of the race because they had pulled off the strategy nobody else thought they could. So that was a pretty fun finish of the race. And come to find out, so far up to this point, and Casey Mears retired now, I guess. So it was his only career win in the Cup Series. So that mistake on pit road, on top of Kenseth pitting about 3 or 4 laps before Biffle, he's now 6 seconds off the lead. He was about 11 seconds back before the stop started. We'll have to see if Kenseth can close the gap because 4-lap fresher tires for Biffle isn't really going to do a whole lot as far as him trying to catch Kenseth himself. J.J. Yaley. Yeah, J.J. Yaley was up there at the front. Okay, so Yaley finished 2nd. I know Reed Sorensen was in the top 5 then because I remember him being up towards the front late in that race. Yeah, man, that was just a really weird finish. I don't think we've seen a race like that since. Like with that weird of a finish. like Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick finishing 1-2 at Texas was kind of strange out of nowhere earlier this season. But it's a lot weirder when you have like these guys that are basically irrelevant in their career. At least like Austin Dillon's won a Coke 600. He's won a Daytona 500 one way or another. And he has won a few races now in his career. Tyler Reddick's only a rookie, but he's got a bright future, so that's a little different too. But like having something like that, like where you have just like a top 5 of just guys that just did not have good seasons, it was just so strange. Especially with it being a crown jewel race too. Like it's really strange to have that in a normal, random race, but the fact it was like one of the bigger races of the year is something crazy as well. And for it to actually get to the finish, to have that kind of a crazy finish. Not like it was rain shortened or something like that. Where we see those crazy winners in rain shortened races. Or like Chris Buescher with the fog shortened win. So 25 laps to go here at Charlotte for Greg Biffle. And Racey is pretty much dominated. Just has to keep his composure late. Matt Kenseth's closing in. He's gained a second on him. Don't count him out yet. Kenseth is putting his heart on his sleeve right now because he has not won a race all season, and he knows he's running out of time with only 6 races to go after the conclusion of this one. Michael Waltrip up to 3rd place. Ricky Rudd 4th out of nowhere. Bill Elliott back in the top 5. He hasn't been up there since the very beginning of the race. Remember, he qualified 2nd. They might be on a little varying strategy. They might have been the cars that pitted as soon as the window opened with about 60 to go, 65 to go. Not long after that caution, because we never got a caution in between then. They have cycled now ahead of guys like Tony Stewart, Sterling Marlin that were up towards the front of the field before those pit stops. As Kenseth gained another 1/10 of a second the last 2 laps. Yeah, that was probably the closest race since that Casey Mears win. Andrew to a, kind of a wacky finish between both the Davids for front row finishing 1-2. That was awesome. David Reagan with the win and David Gillen finishing 2nd. But it wasn't like the full top 5 was that kind of a crazy order. So you had Carl Edwards finishing 3rd, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I know Kenseth was up towards the front late in that race, too. Like, 1-2 definitely was, crazy. The fact that they were teammates was awesome, too. But I mean, the full top 5 just being randomized completely. It wasn't necessarily like that. Ooh, Biffle on the wall off of turn 4. Allowed Kenseth to gain a little bit more ground, 0.3 of a second that last lap. Kenseth was a little bit faster. And that's the thing, too, though. I mean, Biffle's only going to get faster over the course of the run, so although Kenseth's catching him now, that's either going to flatline out by the end of the race or Biffle's car's going to come in. You'd have to imagine Kenseth's likely going to need a caution or a really major mistake out of Biffle for himself to close in. Kenseth 0.2 of a second faster that last lap again, so I mean he is definitely digging about as well as he can.
Number 11 is looking to pass.
Okay, yep, that's fair. 2011 Daytona 500, that was definitely a weird finish. I guess, I don't know what's weirder, that or the, now I'm thinking about it, is it that or, what was it, 2006 Coke 600 when Casey Mears won? I don't know which one's weirder. I guess I kind of forgot about that one. Yeah, he had Bain, Bobby Labonte, the top 5. Juan Montoya, yeah, he was pushing Kurt Busch at the end of the race there, running top 4. Only had 2 career wins. Both on road courses.
Still there. Okay, we're clear.
5.3 seconds off the lead still. 15 laps to go now at Charlotte. Mears was with Hendrick, but that was still his only career win. He was kind of a flop at Hendrick as well. Didn't really perform well. I mean, that was his only win. It was a fuel mileage race. But you can't take that away from him, though, at the same time, too. A win's a win, however which way you get it. Sorensen was with Chip Ganassi Racing, but Chip Ganassi Racing at that time wasn't really relevant. Remember, they just came into NASCAR in 2002 when Sterling Marlin jumped on board with them, so they weren't really in the sport for a while. That was, 2006 would have been their 4th year. 4th year full-time Cup Series racing. So, I mean, they were still a pretty new team at the time. Oh, boy. Chip Ganassi Racing really hasn't... I mean, they've had wins here and there, but they haven't been a dominant team really ever in their career. Their best driver is probably Kyle Larson, or obviously Sterling Marlin when that 2002 season. See, that's something else with that 2002 season with Marlin. That was his first year at Ganassi, and he still almost won the championship. That's insane. I mean, they had high hopes, but they really haven't had that good of equipment since. Outside of Larson winning races when he was there. And Kurt Busch obviously has won a couple races since he's been there within his 2 years and runs well, top 10. I guess you could probably say that that's obviously good. So, I mean, honestly, this is the best Chip Ganassi Racing has been ever, all around. Yeah, Mears raced for Chip. That was when he was that was before Hendrick. 2003 was his rookie season. So 10 laps to go here at Charlotte. Mark Martin's jumped back into the top 5 now, so those drivers that short pitted are starting to finally lose their ground with a little bit older tires here at the end of the race. Biffle still hoping that there isn't going to be a caution. Now with 10 laps or less to go, if there is a caution, the lap cars don't line up to the inside of the lead lap cars. They will all line up single file behind the lead lap cars. So for Kenseth and Biffle, if they get a caution, it's literally one-on-one at the front of the field with a late race restart. But something else to mention as well is that caution's going to have to come out before 4 laps to go for us to get another restart. Caution comes out with 4 to go or less, they're just going to race back to the caution flag, and that's going to do it. 6.1 second advantage here for Biffle over Kenseth. Yeah, McMurray did have a really good season that year. That's probably his best season of his career, winning Brickyard 400 and the Daytona 500 in the same season. That was definitely a good season for Chip Ganassi as well. He just wasn't consistent when he was racing with them, though. That's the only thing. Hey, kudos to Jamie McMurray as well. I don't think anybody really realizes it. I mean, that guy drove for Chip Ganassi his whole career. His whole career he was there. Different car numbers the whole time, but he was there his whole career. I mean, that you don't really see that too much in NASCAR nowadays, but he did it. He's not really one of those drivers that you think of that would have done something like that, but he did. All the way up until the 2019 Daytona 500 from when he debuted in 2002 at the end of the season for Marlin. Almost slid up into Kyle Petty there. 5 laps to go here at Charlotte. Biffle to the outside in 1 and 2. Tries to work around Steve Park. Ooh, contact. Mike Skinner trying to block now as well. Joe Nemechek's there. 6.9 second lead. 4 to go. Pretty much the nail in the final coffin. For Matt Kenseth. So now if we get a caution, they just race back to the caution flag. That will end the race. Obviously the wreck could still happen in front of Biffle, so you still got to get these last 4 laps in. But Greg Biffle looking to go back to victory lane. First time in 3 races. It'll be his 13th win of the season if he can hang on for these final 3 laps. And one of the more dominant races he's had this year. Ward Burton back in the top 5 again. Ryan Newman up to 3rd all of a sudden over the last few laps. Came in 3rd in points. Not sure where Stewart's running right now. So that could be big. Harvick looks like he's going to go another lap down late. Off turn 4, Biffle clears him. I think he was one of the drivers that short pitted. 2 laps to go. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go here at Charlotte. It's going to be another max points day this season for Biffle as well. He's by far led the most laps, and he's a half a lap away now off of turn 2 from winning this race. Redemption from the Coke 600 earlier this year, although this is a 500-mile race, still at the same racetrack. And once again, 13th win of the season for Greg Biffle in his rookie year here on NASCAR Thunder 04. Biffle wins at Charlotte. Still keeping the championship hopes alive, at least for 1 more week. In a race that only featured 2 cautions, both in the final 100 laps. Pretty calmly, Biffle goes on to win. Not like career mode where we have to suffer with a damaged engine in the victory celebration. Biffle's going to burn this thing up until it blows up itself. It's already smoking. There it goes. 13th win of the year for Greg Biffle. We'll take a look at the finishing results here after. Take a look at this victory lane celebration. You got to keep fighting one way or another, even though Stewart likely had a pretty good finish. I would have to imagine. He didn't get in the top 5 at the end of the race. He kind of fell back at the end, but I'd have to imagine he still had a top 15, top 10 run. Biffle's going to need a lot more help than that these final 6 races if he's going to want to win the championship. But again, we will keep running until we're mathematically out. So here is a look at the finishing results. You already see where Stewart finished there pretty well again. Biffle led 321 of the 334 laps today. I have to say that was probably his most dominant win this year, just simply because of laps led versus how many laps were in the race. I mean, he led all but 13 of them. Only 3 different leaders total as well. 3 lead changes, 2 cautions for 6 caution laps. Race speed, 169 miles an hour. That's pretty fast again. Only 2 cautions. 500-mile race got finished in less than 3 hours. So how about that? We don't usually see that too often as well. Greg Biffle with the win. Matt Kenseth finished second again. Only 2 drivers finished on the lead lap. Ryan Newman with a great run in third. Mark Martin fourth. And Ward Burton from last to fifth with that top 5 finish. Tony Stewart led laps today. 5 bonus points there. He led the first 10. Sorry, I said 11. He led the first 10 laps of the race. But also Greg Biffle, for Tony Stewart, finished 6th, top 10. Obviously, that's still good. So Ryan Newman gains a little bit on him, but I think Stewart's still going to gap the points lead a little bit more because Newman was 3rd, and he had a big gap between him and Jarrett still. So we'll see where Dale Jarrett finished. Jeff Gordon finishes 7th, Sterling Marlin 8th, Bobby Labonte 9th, and Dale Jr. rounds out the top 10. He was the only other driver to lead laps in today's race. Led 3 during the cycle in the first set of pit stops, so he got 5 bonus points as well. Take a look at who all DNF'd in today's race. We had quite a few of them, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we had a handful of them at least. Jimmy Johnson blew an engine early. Kurt Busch blew an engine early. Kevin LePage also blew an engine. Dale Jarrett, wow, that's huge championship implications there. So Dale Jarrett finishes 40th, and Tony Stewart's going to have a massive points lead again. He's going to have over a 100-point lead over Ryan Newman, who was going to take over second. That's a tough break. Jarrett was 64 points coming back today. Didn't lead a single lap and finishes 40th. Casey Mears, 39th, also blew an engine late there. That was right in front of Biffle, as we saw Robbie Gordon also blew an engine right in front of Biffle there late. And Johnny Benson blew an engine in the last 30 laps of the race. Didn't see that as well. So we had 7 drivers that DNF'd out of today's race. Yeah, I have no clue. I've only got PlayStations. I got a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation 4. So sorry if I'm used to like looking at the chat when I'm answering questions and not into the camera. I got to focus on looking into the camera more. Because the chat's like right here, so if you see me look away when I'm answering questions instead of looking at the camera, that's why. But yeah, I only have a PlayStation 2, PlayStation 4, so I couldn't tell you. I would imagine Capture Card probably works the same concept if you're trying to like stream something. As far as like recording goes, probably similar aspect. I use OBS for most of my stuff, or the Elgato Game Capture Card. You need a PC if you're going to do it that way, though. So if you don't have like a computer or laptop that's capable of doing that, then I'm not sure how to do it for your sake. So again, Watkins Glen's the next race, noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow on NASCAR Thunder 2004. That will be the next full race live stream with a realistic broadcast. So that'll be a lot of fun. Final road course race of the season, the 4th one, and it's actually the 2nd time we will have gone to Watkins Glen this year. Ricky Rudd won his first and only race at Watkins Glen earlier this year. So maybe he gets his 2nd win of the season and goes for a Watkins Glen sweep. Also, I want to mention, we've had 13 different winners this season, too. So 13 different winners in the first 30 races, so almost half. It's pretty amazing, despite the fact that Greg Biffle has 13 of them. So Tony Stewart still has the points lead, and yes, it is massive. It's a 2-horse race for the moment, but again, 6 races to go. That could change with drivers within the top 5. Tony Stewart, 118-point lead over Newman. Newman moves from 3rd to 2nd. Dale Jarrett, that DNF, falls from 2nd to 3rd. He is now over a race worth of points out. He's 176 back. Kevin Harvick didn't have that great of a run. He moves up to 4th in the standings over Dale Jr. Jr. ended up losing a little bit of ground there, it looks like. He's 252 back in 5th. Matt Kenseth still 6th with a great run there. Ricky Rudd 7th in points. Mark Martin 8th. Jimmy Johnson 9th. And Greg Biffle moves up 1 spot with that max points day and a win. Biffle goes from 11th to 10th in the standings. 732 points back still. So that is not ideal. Let me get the calculator on my laptop here and do some quick math. So 732 points back. Or wait a minute. Yeah, 732 points back. We can only gain 151 per race. So 151 times 6 races to go is 906. So we can gain 906 points at most on Tony Stewart the rest of the season. And we're 732 back. So it's not looking very good as far as Biffle winning the championship. Not mathematically out of it yet, top 10. Really top... See, mathematically, top 16 still have a chance. But it's pretty unlikely here that anybody outside the top 5 is going to win the championship. I'd almost say Junior's in a tough hole too. But at least he's still got a decent shot. Everybody from 6th on back, Kenseth on back, it's going to be really tough to win the championship. Stewart's going to, again, have to DNF probably 2 or 3 times. Probably 3 times in these final few races. He's got a massive points lead. Thanks for everybody tuning in here today. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. We do these full race live streams with a realistic broadcast on the daily again, noon Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Watkins Glen is the next full race live stream on NASCAR Thunder 04. 6 races to go in the season before crowning a champion here in this 2003 season. Custom schedule season, that is. So thanks everybody for tuning in again. Doing the realistic broadcast simply because I'm starting my broadcasting career. So help me out on that journey again by subscribing. Hit the like button as well. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. And it helps me out a ton if you do that as well. Thanks everybody for watching here today, commenting as usual. Subscribe, or I should say support me on Patreon if you do want to support me there, mainly because we are not monetized on YouTube yet. And I know you guys keep saying that if I am monetized on YouTube and the Super Chat is available, I would Super Chat. Well, that's a way, if you really want to help out, that you can. We started that a couple weeks ago. And the link to that is in the description below as well. Follow me on Instagram. Link to that is in the description below this video. Lost Me Jam 1. Thanks for tuning in right at the end of the stream, but nevertheless, thanks. Have a good rest of your afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time at the Glen.